Hey, this is a live Q&A, and it looks like I got some weird shadows going on. So a lot of questions were sent in, and I see we have a bunch of people on the chat already. Lot of chatter going on. So give me a shout in the chat. Hopefully we'll be able to ensure that people can hear me. That'll be really good. That's always good to make sure people can hear me. There's a few quick announcements I'll make. So number one, if you submitted your question via the form, thank you. Really appreciate it. It does make it easier. And you'll notice in the description for this that there are like most of the questions listed. So it's pretty awesome. So makes it a little bit easier. There's fewer emails coming in, and I encourage you not to send me an email to ask a question. Especially for this format, it's just better to submit it via the form. So it helps me out. I give you a shout out, and I think right now it should be good. So I'm gonna hit a lot of those. I'm gonna try and go back and forth as much as I can. It's a little bit difficult at times just because I have several windows open and in the chat is always so active. So welcome. That is one announcement. Just use the form if you have the ability to. The other thing is there's a couple affiliate links in the description. One's for Siteground, one is for SEMrush. So if you use those, I get a commission. Appreciate it if you do. And then a couple other things. I have limited coaching slots, so I don't talk about it too much, but I just wanted to let people know if you are interested in coaching, you can shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and I'll be able to follow up with you. But I do some limited coaching. I obviously try and make sure it's like very high value for you and effective. So if you're like just getting started, it may not be right to go right to coaching. But if you have a couple sites and you need an audit or something like that, so I have a couple slots next week. So like Monday, Tuesday, I have some time. So shoot me a message. We could set something up. Most of the time I like prepare ahead of time. I have you send me some information. We prepare ahead of time, or I prepare ahead of time. And then the goal is to provide you with an action plan to execute whatever it is you're trying to do. So that is the other thing I wanted to mention. As far as like a housekeeping, the other one little exciting announcement is very extremely high likelihood that my wife and I are starting a podcast, not specifically on affiliate marketing, but more about like working a 9-to-5 job versus not working a 9-to-5 job. So a broader set of topics, but I probably won't be able to help it. I'll talk about affiliate marketing, of course. And if you have any questions about like working a corporate job or navigating in a corporate job, those are the kind of questions, or the headaches, right, of a corporate job. So we're going to talk about like our life when we were consulting and traveling for our job and that sort of thing. And then we'll, see where it goes. So, all right, Kari is in the chat. I'm doing well. It's been a while since you've been on a Q&A, you say, and you're starting to do the KGR strategy. Awesome. And I saw your question, and I'll definitely get to that one. Eggers is on. What do I suggest next? You have 50 posts in a website, 50% affiliate and 50% buyer, and then 20 plus guest posts. The website is 3 months old. What's the next steps? So Eggers, you're in the course, right? So of course, and that is the 5-figure niche site course, and your target is to grow faster. So because you have 20 plus guest posts, you're in good shape. The website's 3 months old. I would suggest to add as much content as you can. So with 20 guest posts and that much content, like you're probably in good shape. And basically I would just keep pushing hard. And the more work you do right now, the better it's going to be like once you get out of the sandbox, because you're in the sandbox right now. So it feels like, things aren't happening. So publish as much as you can in the next 3 months and you'll be in awesome shape. And I'll point you towards the success interview with Ellen, where, she did tons of work for like 8 months. And I haven't talked to her in the last little bit here, but she was approaching 3K per month, and it basically grew like super fast at like 5.5 months to the 8 month period. So, Jaren's on. What's up? And caught up with Jaren. Revenue is looking good, Jaren. If you want to share in the chat, if you want to. So, Jaren was another success story using the keyword golden ratio. Really cool stuff he had going on. All right. And we see Marty is on as well. Welcome. Wesley, what's up? And something really cool is I am doing a collaboration with Alex at WP Eagle, and we're doing like a bunch of stuff on the keyword golden ratio. And one part of that is I pulled like interesting segments from interviews with like Wesley and Jaren and Ellen, and then John, who is probably going to hop on later. And yeah, pretty cool stuff. So Duke as well, of course. And let's see. And Kari is mentioning that Kari has a site 2 or 3 weeks old, 4 posts, and already made 8 sales, which is really cool. All right. I'm trying to get through the chat, and it's awesome, all the conversation. If I happen to miss your question in the chat, I apologize, but you know, if I miss it, it's because there's so much going on. And if you sent in your question via the form, thanks very much. You don't have to ask it again. I have them all. So in the sheet, and I have the sheet open in another window, so I'll be going through those in a second. Zhabe, what's up? Bynum says, can I describe the clickable affiliate links on the affiliate site? Are they pictures or words? Suck as text. Not, I think, I don't know what the last part, what you mean there, but basically I like text links. I don't like image links as much. Some people really like them, but I usually just do text calls to action. Marty says that he just broke 300 in 30 days between two sites, but mostly it's the one 5-figure niche site. Awesome, congrats! And I mean, I think once you hit that point, it's like, it's just growth. So, all right, Eggers. Marty says your content is greatly improved over when you started. It's helped a lot. You can get positive feedback, so you're glad you redid the original content and revamped the site. John says you think you were affected by the Google update. And yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that. It's a little bit unclear exactly what the issue is or what the algorithm took a look at. It seems like there's a lot of inconsistencies too. So I know that Duke did some stuff, who I'm not sure if he is on here today, but Duke did some work to like recover some of his posts that were dropping. And it sounded like a lot of it was around placing more subheadings with, keyword rich partial match sort of stuff. But the more I talk to people, the more it's like they can't see a trend. It's hard to identify anything. So, all right. And let's see here. Emmanuel says, how do I handle taxes with affiliate marketing and affiliate marketing websites? Before I formed a company, I just put it as revenue, right? Or income, just income. And then sort of, I had separate like accounts anyway. So it was pretty easy to keep track. It was just a matter of bookkeeping. So I just took the profits as income, right? Profits is income. And then when I formed a company, it got messy in the overlap, but now I have an accountant and someone that helps me with the bookkeeping and stuff. So Jaren is mentioning that your beginner interview was just a few months ago and you were at like $100 a month, and you can get close to 3,000 this month. And Jaren, just to confirm, you're doing like mostly KGR terms, right? That's where you're getting your traffic. And that's just awesome. You nailed it. You really nailed it. So good job. KGR Kaylee, what's up? I'm doing well here. Hi is on. Kari is asking if KGR works for YouTube. I don't know. I think the theory of it works, but there's other things in play. But if you could figure out how to do all in title on YouTube, then it potentially would work. Um, Anderson says, you see that there's a fair amount of sites out there within the same niche. My question is, when is a niche too competitive and when is it healthy competition? That's a tough one to answer because it depends on like your experience level and all that, but I'll make an assumption and just say you're like a beginner intermediate, something like that. So if I just had to give you an answer, I would say if you see a few like niche sites, like 2 to 5 in the top 10, that's probably okay. That's probably all right. If you see like 10, that's probably too many. So I would probably be afraid of that. And, when it's good to see a couple niche sites out there, but, sometimes that's hard to work out. Bob's on. Philip says, what's my honest thoughts about the health niche? I think it's a great niche. Probably a little competitive. So at that point, you would want to like make sure you're targeting something specific for like a reason. All right. And I know a lot of people just hopped on. So a couple things. If you could give a thumbs up, I think I noticed a little bit of a correlation last week. I didn't ask for many people to like the video. I just like really worked hard on answering as many questions as possible. And it seemed like less people watched the video. And my thought is it probably was not sort of surfaced as much. And you know what? I'm publishing less on YouTube. And I think the algorithm like punishes a lack of publishing. So, or it's probably the other way. You probably get rewarded for just keeping people on YouTube for longer. So if I'm publishing fewer videos, I'm doing less stuff, less people are watching more things. So, all right. Okay. And hi asks about the algorithm update, which I sort of answered. I think probably there's a couple questions on it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people are just going to like keep asking it. So it is unclear basically, but there's it looks and sounds like maybe it's kind of related to like the sort of what am I trying to describe here? The similar characteristics of like affiliate sites seem to be like part of it. So maybe like not great on page SEO so much. And then maybe there were a lot of links that were gained over a period of time and then like that sort of stopped. Like there's some pieces where it's like, oh, an affiliate site would do that, but most other sites wouldn't necessarily do that. D card is on. All right, I'm gonna, before I lose and get too far behind, I'm gonna try and blast through some of the questions that were sent in and hopefully do okay in the chat and keep up. By the way, are there any moderators on? Because I may, if if there aren't, I may elect a couple people, right? I may ask a couple people to help out. Maybe like Marty, if you are around for a minute, and maybe even Jaron too. If you guys are willing, just let me know in the chat. If not, I understand. I'll keep an eye on there. Okay. Jeff sent in a question. There's a 2,900 local monthly searches for one of the sites with no large e-commerce competition. Should terms in the 250 to 720 range reflect this? Also the same for the KGR. I'm not sure. I would just check the terms and then see what comes up. Jeff, I'm not 100. I mean, I would assume that you would have looked already, because I wouldn't know unless I looked. So hopefully I answered it properly. But yeah, I would just look. Jamie says, 2 questions here. Should you keep posting articles on a consistent basis, like every day or every Tuesday? It doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want. You can publish everything all in one day if you want to. The other question is, should you try to tailor your product review title to your keyword golden ratio? Yes, you should. Yeah, Xavier says, how can I drive huge amounts of targeted visitors to my niche site by organic search? We have to rank. I think you're asking, I think the question doesn't really capture what you're really asking. I have to cough here. But I think the answer is really you have to rank for very high volume keywords. So that's how you get a huge amount of traffic. But if you, I feel like I'm missing something. All right. And Marty says, um, it's lunchtime. You got to go. Okay. Appreciate it. Totally understand. And yeah, Bob says you don't see any moderators. Hey, Bob, do you would you have the ability? And I think you know what I think. Jaron is actually probably busy doing stuff too. Okay, Jasper says you want to start an affiliate marketing site about hiking. Is it too broad? Is there too much competition? There's a lot you want to talk about, so you want it to be broad, but you're thinking you can narrow it down to hiking technology to limit the competition. What's the right approach? So Jasper, that's very cool, and I think it sounds like you're into hiking, and I think that's great because you'll be able to write stuff that's way more interesting, and you actually care about it and that sort of thing. So that says that says to me you should go for it. And I would say focus in on something early on so you can sort of get a foothold. And I mean, like I mentioned before, and maybe some people didn't hear it yet, but my wife and I are probably starting a podcast on something like more general of like working in the corporate world and not working in the corporate world and like our experience in engineering and consulting and IT and stuff like that, traveling and not traveling, working remotely, all these different things that come into play, plus corporate politics, getting promoted. Like there are a lot of people interested in that, and it's quite competitive, right? It's overlapping with entrepreneurship, and then people that have podcasts about like working in the corporate world. But we're probably going to focus on the narrow area that we already have like sort of a foothold on. So the answer is if you're into it, go ahead and get started. You'll figure it out along the way. Focusing on something narrow is better. Like initially, right? You can brand it in a broad way so that you can expand later if you want. Gill says, how many keywords would you put in one article? The answer is as many as you need to put in there. So, and further, Gill says, I mean different ones. Like, do you just use one keyword or do you try and fit a couple in? Say one main keyword and another with a fewer searches. See, and the thing is, I don't think about it like that. And I think it's probably a mistake for you to think about it like that. So my advice would be, if you're doing a KGR term, right? Answer the question, right? Just whatever you need to put in there is what you put in there. And if other keywords naturally arise in there, well, that's great. Just write the article how you need to. If you're doing some like larger piece, like I split my site, some are very long pieces of content going after big keywords and others are KGR terms, right? So for the longer, the longer posts, the longer reviews or informational articles or whatever they are, they may have tons of keywords, but I don't necessarily say, all right, I want to put these keywords in there. Some people do that, but I don't do that. So put however many keywords you deem necessary. John asked, what's my opinion of native shopping ads? Do I use them? I generally don't. I don't like them too much, but some people do. John asks about the Google update. Yeah, it came out. The word on the street is like very late April, so like 29th, 30th. A lot of people have been impacted, and it is unclear about exactly what's going on. Duke mentioned that it probably has some stuff to do with on-page SEO, but I'm hearing like other stuff as well. And Bob, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to make you a moderator so that'll last through this session and future sessions. And basically, if there's any weird stuff like going on, we have a one strike policy. So if there's anything weird going on in Jaron, thanks for the help as well. So basically, any weird stuff going on, just kick them out. You could just kick them out immediately, and then you could remove their message if needed. Usually, it removes it. All right. Reeves says you want to know how you can get paid traffic to your site, and you list some site. Did you construct it well, or what's missing? I don't know. I didn't go look at your site. I don't do like free audits or anything. So sorry if there was some misunderstanding, but I don't do that. There's just too many, right? If I put that call out here, I'd have like 2 months of work just to like help look at people's sites. So how can you get paying traffic to your oh, and you're not asking about paid traffic. So Reeves, I'm going to advise you to go to my like the main channel page. Any question that you have, just type it into the search bar for my channel, and I probably have asked or answered the question because it's been asked before. So how can you get traffic? You need to rank for keywords, and to do that, you need to find keywords that you can rank for that have a buyer's intent. But that is the overall idea. But basically, it sounds like you should check out a couple of videos around like keyword research. I have some long workshops where it's like um, an hour to hour and a half or so, and I go through like the different types of keywords and how to do the keyword golden ratio. And actually I find some, and if you watch that stuff, then you'll be in much better shape. So rank on Google. Jeff is a 5-figure niche student. What's an acceptable DA to compete with in the top 10 in Google? Basically, it's sort of hard to tell. It depends. So in general, we're looking at the page authorities, but the DAs can matter, but you have to look at it more in a holistic way. So Jeff, if you need more help, please send an email to the support email account so I could look a little closer, or maybe Thais even. But in general, if you see some that are like high DA, like over 50 or so, or high 40s, as per your question, if you see some, it could be okay. But if you see like most of the results are like a DA 70 or higher, that's pretty high. So appreciate it. Both Jaron and Bob, really appreciate it to keep order out there. All right. And I'm going to come back to the chat in just a moment and make a good headway. Meeson says, how, I think it could be a misspelled word here, but how to maintain relevancy. I'm not really sure what you're asking, but I would say publish relevant content. I don't know the context of what you're trying to ask. And you're asking how to recover after getting penalties on May of 2018. I'm not sure, but I would say analyze. I had a consultation with one of my students the other day, who had a actually not a student, but just a consulting client, and he basically had a site where the traffic went down by like 30%, right? Pretty dramatic, but not as bad as some people have gotten hit. Once we started looking at the data, there were like, I don't know, 10% of his posts where the traffic actually went up a little bit. And I told him, I was like, hey, go take a look at what's common for those posts and what's common and like what is different on a post that went down. It may be hard to identify, but if you go in there and you're doing like on-page analysis, and then you check the backlinks and you really look at those, the 10% of the posts where like it went up in traffic, like something changed, right? That's weird. So I would say look at it in a like with data. It's really hard to tell, and a lot of people probably are speculating about what could be wrong, like I am speculating right now, but it's hard to tell. So it's hard to tell, but the data on your own site should give you something. All right, I'm going to come back to the chat for just a minute here. Ager says, you published a large best of type article, 6,000 words. Awesome. Really good. And Meeson says, what do I think about relevance content? Again, I'm not really sure what you're asking at all. Can you rephrase it? I apologize. All right. D card says, when searching for KGR terms, what tool do I use for search volume? Where keyword is keywords everywhere? Okay. Yeah, typically I'll use like keywords everywhere, just in general because it's right there. And then I use keyword keg as well. And JS says, a 5-month-old site is getting traction. You just made 3 qualifying sales and it's approved by Amazon. How long will it take until you're not religiously checking analytics and sales every 5 minutes? That's funny. It'll never go away. It'll never go away. So, Biha says, do I have any experience competing with .gov and .org sites? No, I don't. I suspect. Oh, and Marty's out of here. Take it easy. I don't know. I'm not sure how hard it would be to outrank them. I would have a look at, just other sites that are outranking .gov and .org sites, and then you can draw some assessment from there. Crypto says, nice beard. Thanks. Just got a little lazy and haven't shaved. So thanks. What's the average income you get from a blog after a 1-year timeline? I know it's hard to estimate, just a rough average from my past experience. I would say I'll give you a range. So if you're brand new and you're just getting started, I would say in 1 year, I hope you could hit $1,000 a month. And there's many factors. I'll throw out a couple. Like you have to pick a niche that is moderately competitive, but not too competitive. And then you have seasonality aspects you may need to consider, stuff like that. And then, so I would say 1,000 if you are, you show up every day and you're trying to do work. If you show up and you're doing work, you should be able to hit $1,000 a month. I would guess. And then on the higher side, you could hit 10K, right? So let's look at, Jaron, one of our fine moderators, interviewed him as a success story. Check it out. When I talked to him, like a month and a half ago, Jaron had just found like the affiliate marketing stuff in September of last year. His site was going to hit about $100 in March. Turned out, I think it was closer to like 300 or 400, something like that. It was much higher than what we expected. And then he just like pinged us in the chat and said, there's a chance for this month, May of 2018, that he could hit like close to 3,000. So if things go great, right? If he keeps pouring more content onto his site, starts doing some outreach and link building, if he chooses to do that, then, I mean, by the way, he hasn't done any link building. Ellen has done the same thing. She wasn't new to affiliate marketing and stuff, but she had like 3K in about 8 months, roughly the same timeline, pretty close to the same timeline. So anyway, the point is, it depends. It's a large range. Potentially, if you show up every day, like $1,000 to maybe 10,000 or more, right? So if you are not brand new, you could probably start a site and you have a budget, you could probably grow it a lot faster. Okay. And cool. And Jaron just started to reach out for backlinks. Jaron, if you need any help, give me a shout. Just let me know what you have going on. It could be cool to get an update to take a closer look, just to help you out if you need it. Although it seems like you're doing fine. Okay. So Keith says, what's the optimum size for a featured image for your blog post? I don't know. It depends on your theme, and it turns out it doesn't really matter. Who cares? Kevin says, you missed me. You work on Fridays. Sorry you can't come in on live. You've been trying to write content for your site. Some take longer than others. You don't have income to hire someone. You're wondering if you should continue to write product comparisons, which take longer, or once in a while just write product reviews. I'm not sure of the distinction of the two. So product comparisons or product reviews? I would think about it, Kevin, as far as like the ROI and which one you believe you can. I know you'll just have to make an assumption if you're just getting started. But I would assume the comparisons may be a little bit more uh, valuable as far as content, and that's why it takes longer. So I'm not really sure. And as long as you're moving forward, I think that's a good thing. But I would focus on like where you think you can get the ROI. By the way, if you have the opportunity to hit the thumbs up, we have 55 people on, have about 17 likes, which is nice. Appreciate it. If I answered your question, please hit the thumbs up. I mentioned last week, I didn't really talk about hitting or liking the video too much, or I didn't really pay attention, right? It's kind of boring for me to keep asking, to be honest with you. And there's so many questions. So anyway, if you could hit the thumbs up, like I'm trying to, help out. So if you could help me out, hit the thumbs up, help people find the video. All right. Ryan says, okay, it's kind of a long question. Most of the KGR terms you're finding are long tail versions of a shorter and more competitive phrase. These shorter phrases are dominated by big sites. And will you be able to outrank the sites for the KGR just by being the exact match? Or will Google's algorithm just display the authority sites since the keyword they're targeting is close enough? It's impossible to answer. So sometimes you will be able to, and sometimes you will not. But don't forget that some people type in like weird long phrases. So even if you don't rank for like the specific KGR term, there's a high likelihood that someone's going to type in some weird long phrase that no one else searches for ever, and then your site's going to come up. Marcel says, how much do I pay? How much do I pay freelancers to do guest post outreach for link building? It depends. I typically was paying hourly, and it was 10, 15 bucks an hour, but totally depends on how you want to do it. And I haven't talked about it in a while because most people just want to talk about keyword research, by the way, which is fine. But here's an observation that I have. Here's like the nugget. Some people have told me, that they'll watch these live streams for the questions because they never know what I'm going to say. And sometimes there's like really interesting stuff that I throw out. I think this could be the interesting thing. All right. A couple points. When you need help for SEO, some of the worst people to talk to are SEO consultants that you may find and freelancers that you may find on like Upwork or some random Facebook group. Random Facebook groups are going to be even worse. But on Upwork, what you may find is people who know the lingo, right? They've read a bunch of stuff and they know what should work, right? They know what to do in theory, but they're not like implementing it. They're not practitioners. And there's a school of thought, which I dislike, where people are like, oh, you know what? When I first got started, I went out and I got a client to do, this is just a made up story, but I'm sure you've heard something like this. This is a made up story, but someone went out, talked to a small business, convinced them that they knew SEO when they didn't know SEO. And then they went out and tried to figure out how to do it afterwards. That is a very that's borderline unethical. Okay, here's the other part. I mean, I have a PMP, like I'm in an engineering degree, like I'm on the probably more professional side just in general, and I wouldn't feel right. I don't have like my professional engineering like certification, the PE. Didn't need that for what I was doing, but the fact is, like, I would feel like unethical if I was trying to convince someone to work with me when I didn't know anything about the thing that I was telling them that I knew all this stuff about. That said, a lot of people are like that. They hear other stories and basically they don't know how to do SEO. So SEO people on Upwork, people who say they know outreach, those are probably not the people that you want to work with because you don't know if they're doing it properly and they may not know what they're doing at all. So here's the nugget. It took me a second to get to it. Here's the nugget. I think some of the best people to hire will be like administrative assistants or like executive assistants, because what do you need someone to do out? Like what qualities do you need for outreach? You need someone that can send emails, communicate well and clearly, be very polite, and stay organized. It sounds like an assistant to me. So I would say don't hire someone who says they know how to do SEO and outreach for guest posting. Hire someone that is an assistant. That's basically what you're doing. You will have to set the baseline of like, hey, here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to network with someone. We're trying to eventually post on their site. And this is sort of the process. This is the flow of how it's going to work. The best outreach stuff that I've done, I had writers that I was working in, and I asked them if they wanted to do something a little more interesting instead of writing. Because after you write a bunch, it gets boring. They're writing a bunch of product reviews and how-to articles. And I was like, hey, you want to do something different? I'll pay you $12 an hour instead of, whatever I'm paying you for the post. They were like, sure, we'll give it a shot. And it worked out great. And they don't have all the baggage of thinking about all the things that we think about. Like they're not thinking about, the domain authority. They're not thinking about any of the other stuff. They're just like, okay, so we're networking, we're trying to be friendly, and then we're emailing them. That's it. That's like the whole process, right? So I'll clean it up and just say the nugget is don't hire people to do outreach that say they know outreach. Hire people that are like good assistants, communicate clearly, and can follow directions. All right, cool. Next, I think I'm going to come back to the questions. Marcel also asks, companies are contacting him to send him products and do affiliate deals. He writes under a fake persona. How do you handle that when people want to talk to someone without publicly outing yourself as a real site owner? So a couple things you can do. I don't know. I haven't done this specifically, but I'd give you a couple recommendations, Marcel. So you can just say, hey, send it to this address, which could be like wherever you need the stuff sent to, and then just have them put whatever name that you want on there. It'll go to your mailbox, and then you can deal with it, right? Or you could just say, hey, I am this other person. I have a professional career, so I just have a fake persona and would love to work with you. When it comes down to it, I mean, these companies just want someone to write about what they're doing, and I don't think they actually care who it is. So if it's a company or someone that wants to do an affiliate deal, you could probably just tell them, and they probably won't care. And Adrian is asking about what's going on with the drop in rankings after the algorithm update. I'm not sure, but I talked about it just a tad. Kari, I see your question in here. And let's see. Cool. It looks like we have our first troll in here, which was held for review. I'll go ahead and report this guy and just say that was that. Okay, cool. Kari says, this is kind of a long question. There's a lot of like background information, which isn't really needed, but I'll read it because Kari put in the time. Kari is here. I launched a new website 2 weeks ago. A post has 1,000 searches per month, 18 all in title, and ranks 18. And it's on page 2. You made 8 sales with it already. Awesome. Congratulations. You have another KGR friendly term, and it's ranking 16th. It's 10 days old. You're saying that they rank better than the real KGR terms. Okay. And then you did blog commenting, but there aren't too many blogs for your niche. You do Pinterest posts. Okay. You rank number 1 on Bing, which gives you some traffic. And then you say, what can you do to get that to the number 1 spot on Google and keep it, or at least be on the first page? Thanks in advance. So Kari, here's the deal. Your sites are only 2 weeks old. So just be patient. And my recommendation there's basically 2 things to do to get to number 1 on Google. So you like basically just keep publishing more content. And I would say just publish as much content as you can. You're doing great at 2 weeks. So I would say like accelerate as much as you can. And the other thing, aside from like adding more content, and you could add more content by adding more articles. You could also lengthen the articles that you're already like doing well on. Like if you're ranking well, add more content to that. If you're ranking like in the top 10 or top 5 or whatever threshold you want, like just keep adding more content. Quick reminder, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, would really appreciate it. Helps other people find the video. So I'm told. And if you found anything helpful or if I answered your question, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. And the other thing is to get backlinks. So backlinks will help you rank, go do some guest posts, and just keep at it. Your site's only 2 weeks old, so I wouldn't worry about it. Zuhaib says, "Hi, I want to start a niche site, but I don't know how and what content to write. When you try to write content, you feel stuck. You want to watch someone making a niche site in detail. Where can I follow someone?" I don't know where you could follow someone to like start from scratch or whatever. However, I know the income school guys have like all their sites are like public. So you go like check out their sites and see how they write the content. Alternatively, it seems like you're just getting started. So congratulations for getting into the affiliate model, the affiliate business. I would say go to my channel, click on the videos, find the playlist, right? Find playlist. There are videos on how to write content when you don't know how. There are videos on how to find keywords and stuff. So watch a lot of the videos, and I think a lot of this stuff will be a lot more clear. And then I have, not just, how to write content when you're stuck, but there's a couple techniques, the FAQ method and RPM, the research paper method. And basically it takes the guesswork out, right? So I was there right where you're describing, and basically like you don't know what to write because you're just getting started and it's hard to deal with like a blank page. But if you like can just like get an outline out, like a simple outline, you could start iterating on that and make it bigger. Evan says, any tips for organizing multiple income streams with minimal chaos, payments coming from Amazon, ClickBank, AdSense, and various affiliate programs on different payout schedules? Things can get unwieldy. So basically, I would look for some bookkeeping solution. I'm still using like a free one called Wave. It's Wave apps. And I need to move over to like, what is it, like FreshBooks or Zero, or there's several others, but there are ways to make it easier where they like import the data, but in a lot of ways, sometimes the imports get messed up, at least for the program that I'm using, Wave. So I take CSVs, massage them a bit, and then put them into my bookkeeping software. All right. Cool. eBlog says, how are you? I'm good. You have asked you question to answer for you and you didn't get an answer. All right. Well, you should ask it here. If you sent me an email, and I'll be honest with you, if you sent me an email and I didn't think it was a good question, I maybe didn't answer it. Or if you sent an email, it's probably not it, by the way, eBlog, but I just want to point that out. Sometimes I get some questions. I try to reply back to everything, but it takes time. So if you sent an email and you didn't get it yet, just be patient. You should get something back. If you ask for like a guest post, the reason why I said that is like some people have been sending me emails asking to guest post on Niche Site Project, and I don't know who they are, and I'm not going to have them guest post on my site. I don't think that was you, but it's unclear. But your name is eblog24.net, so I don't. It's hard to tell. Okay, Diana says there are a lot of terms in the UK which are super competitive, but if you had UK at the end, the competition is lower. Can you rank for those better? I'm not sure. I haven't tried that. Potentially. Tushar says, how many times do you use the exact match keyword like best blue pen in a guest post to rank this term? Just say when you do /buy 10 posts. Well, it's a much bigger picture than just that. But if you're going to paint me in a corner and make me answer that, I would say twice. Jonathan says, hi. Will I be able to rank if there are 13 searches, but only two all in title and the search results? Yes, you will, but your question doesn't say where you're trying to rank. So the thing is, actually, this is one of the videos that Alex and everyone get excited. Alex and I are putting out a playlist with like 10 videos on the KGR. It's probably going to be, I mean, it's going to be a lot of content. It'll be like a little masterclass in keyword golden ratio. But here's the thing, Jonathan, the higher the search volume, the more difficult my belief is, the more difficult it's going to be to rank. So you may be able to do it, but you didn't tell me how old your site was, how long the content's going to be. But basically, just because it's 1300 doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it. If you are thinking, hey, I want to rank in the top 10 as soon as possible, the jury's out. I have a feeling it's not going to work for you. All right. And Kari says, write long content for that. Yeah. Tushar says, what criteria do I use for selecting sites for outreach? I look for sites that I think I can guest post on. How do I check those criteria? Well, it looks like a site where I could guest post on. So it's a little loose. If you're asking about metrics, I don't look at them. And cool. Yeah, so Jonathan, go for it, but take it as a data point. There's no harm in publishing it, And Kari hit the thumbs up already, and thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so Fat Loss Planner says you are expecting an answer. Your site is not gaining traction. You have a few keywords ranked, but not really gaining traction following the KGR. Okay, I don't know what the issue is. So, you're probably doing something wrong. Like you may be keyword stuffing. Are you in the weight loss, the fat loss niche, like your name implies? It's here's the thing. I'm kind of being a jerk, but not on purpose. Here's the thing. Most of the time, I cannot actually troubleshoot someone's problem because there are too many factors. And one of my students a few weeks ago, he was like, hey, I published a few KGR terms. They're not ranking. One of them is, but like 6 of them are not. What's the deal? I took a look at just one of his posts and he was keyword stuffing. He didn't realize it, but he was keyword stuffing. And I was like, hey, this is like a 1200 word article. You've used this, 6-word KGR phrase like 8 times. It's totally unnatural. And I was like, cut it down, use it one time, and then be sure you have some interlinks throughout your site and let me know what happens. And it started moving up. So it went from not being, or maybe it was ranked like 100, and then it jumped up to like 20. So a lot of times it's very easy to identify the issue if I were able to look at it. But in this format, it's hard to tell. So the other part is, if you are doing, again, I'm assuming this fat loss deal is like your niche, but in a medical or health niche, it may be more difficult to compete with bigger sites that have tons of authority around the medical topics, medical and health topics. So my thought is, if you are doing fat loss, then you may have a more difficult time, especially if your site's like brand new. But overall, keep at it and go look at the post and say, look at the most obvious stuff for your on page. Have you done any link building? But the thing is, if you're not getting traction, like it could be the niche is a bad one, or it could be too competitive, or you're probably making a mistake. Like a few years ago, I wouldn't really have the confidence to say that, but there are so many people that are able to like just to do it in a short time frame that I know that there are mistakes that can hold you back. Okay, Sindana says, hey, Doug, my theme automatically set my title as an H3 instead of an H1. Is that bad for SEO? I don't know. I would probably contact the theme and ask them what the deal is. I would probably want to have the one H1 tag like everyone else's site so that, it's indicated as the title. Aaron says, is there a specific format you follow for commenting on blogs? No, there isn't. I think, and Aaron, here's the deal. You don't want it to come across as spammy, as you noted there. So don't have a format. I think it comes off spammy if you have a format or template that you're trying to follow. But if you just comment normally, then that's a great way to do it. The Warrior says, do I suggest any specific way to approach KGR with YouTube for CPA? No, I don't. Emmanuel says, do you know how to get an artist to come and work with you privately when they're on Fiverr? No. I would just ask them. Yeah, I would just ask them. The Warrior says, how to find feeder keyword ideas for informational keywords. I would go to like other sites in the niche, sites that maybe you're looking up to. And by the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do hit the thumbs up. It looks like we have 34. Yeah, we have 50-ish people watching, maybe high 40s at this point. But hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. We'll see if it actually makes a difference. You could help me like do an experiment, because I didn't ask very much last week, and I don't think there were as many likes. So less people watched the video. Just curious if that's actually the difference. So feeder keywords for informational. I would just go to the competitors' sites, see what they rank for, and then filter for how to. Pretty straightforward. Kari says, in case I was wondering, soon they will add in one link in Australia, so you'll be able to monetize from Australia too. Oh, cool. All right. And Fat Loss Planner says, thanks for the answer. The average length is 4,000 words. Yeah, so go through and see what happens. And Marcel says, you bought a site 3 weeks ago. It's number 1 on the keyword outranking the Wirecutter CNET. You added a call to action in a couple tweaks, and it dropped to number 5. Oh, and the lesson learned, you tinker too much. Interesting, Marcel. That is very interesting. Just from this, like, what were the other tweaks, I wonder? Okay, thanks for hitting the thumbs up, everyone who's saying it. John says, this could be a crazy question, but do I think having AdSense or not may affect someone's ranking? Yeah, I think not directly, though. So I think if you have AdSense all over your site and it makes for a bad user experience, then I think, yeah, that could impact your rankings based on the like the user interaction, stuff like that. So it looks like we made it to the end of the questions that were sent in. However, there are always a lot of questions. So let me know if there are more in the chat, by the way, and then I can go back and the interesting thing is I have my spreadsheet here with the questions that were sent in via the form. Thanks for doing that, everyone, by the way. But the funny thing is, there are literally some of the same questions. Like, I just unhid a lot of the column or the rows that were hidden as I'm working through the current questions, and literally the same questions, just different weeks, different people. And it's tough. It's just, thinking about YouTube and YouTube content and the format of the live streams and stuff. But it's like I can't expect, like, any one video that I do could be the first video that someone watches. I mean, I understand that. And these Q&As, like, I can't expect everyone to go through and watch them all. So I hope it is providing a huge amount of value, because it takes a tremendous amount of time for me personally. And then a lot of people are staying on here and stuff for a decent amount of time to get those nuggets, like I mentioned before. But yeah, it's just a weird, I think people talk about like the content treadmill of YouTube, and like I published a bunch for a very long time, and I'm pulling back just a little bit right now to sort of plan ahead for the future and do some more writing on Niche Site Project. And if you haven't checked out Niche Site Project in a while, you should head over there. I think there's a link in the description, but I've uh, revamped the homepage. I've tweaked the theme a little bit. There's still some stuff that's not quite right. I'm working on that. But yeah, basically, um, it's hard to keep publishing so many videos, and I could tell just in my views and in my watch time and stuff, I'm publishing less, and YouTube is suggesting my video less, so I could like see the impact like within days. Very interesting. So next, Emmanuel says, is 1,000 words per article okay, or would you need more? Yeah, 1,000 words is fine, but it depends on what you want to do. More is probably better. Marcel says, you think you need to leave it alone for a while, the site that you just bought, and the plan is to KGR the site with new content. Yeah, let me know how it goes. That'll be really cool. How many backlinks once for rank niche website? Can you rephrase that? I'm not really sure what you're asking. You're asking like how many backlinks to rank a website. However many it needs. That's a tough, impossible question to answer. You can get some idea if you look at all your competition, see how many backlinks they have in the sort of type and authority, and then you try and exceed what they're doing. Graham says, can I talk a little bit about liability and affiliate marketing? What kind of disclaimers do you use to make sure you're protected? So I am not the right person to ask. So I basically have a sort of a generic disclaimer saying that there's like a Facebook pixel and there could be like AdSense if that applies. And then, you know, with the new rules coming out, I'm sure you're seeing tons of emails about like data retention and being it really just applies for like email list stuff from my perspective. I mean, you still have to cover all the cookies and whatnot, but from my perspective, a lot of it is just having the ability to update, delete email list data, and that is, you know, part of the big thing there. The other part is, you know, from like depending on your niche, right? And you're talking about other affiliate marketing stuff. So depending on your niche, you know, you may need to say like, you know, I'm not liable for you. Like I don't own the product, right? Like I'm not the company. So you may have to make that clear that, you know, that sort of thing. But I'm not really sure. I think probably if you looked at bigger sites in your niche, you could probably get an idea. Make sure they're big enough to have like a, you know, lawyer to have looked over this stuff. But I think if you sort of mimic what they're doing, you should be in good shape. Cool. And Warrior says it does provide value. You're watching older videos and having someone live is a whole different deal. Thanks. Per your own research, the number of likes and people watching you receive affects how many people get a notification for your next live video. And I think you're right about that. I think like a couple weeks I haven't been doing as many live videos, and then I wasn't asking people to like it, and I think like YouTube sends out, I think there's some method to it, of course, where like if I'm doing live videos and YouTube sends a notification because they know that you watch my videos and then or you've been watching them recently, and then you click it, like then you're more likely to get one in the future, and YouTube is more likely to send those notifications out. So yeah, thanks for the tip on that though. Pete says, you've read that one should have their hosting and their domain registration with separate companies. It seems easier. It doesn't matter, just whatever you want to do. And Pete says, thanks for all the great content. You're welcome. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, Pete. I mean, you could do whatever you want. You know, I have most of my domain names at Namecheap because it's cheaper. Just in general, it's cheaper versus like if you have some other company, like if you're doing it through your hosting company, it may cost you instead of like 11 or $12, it may be like 20. So if you have a few domain names, it could actually make a difference. Save some money, buy a coffee, you know. All right. Bob says, currently you have a comment section under each content post and a contact us form. Will it hurt me to remove the contact us form because you get too many ads on the contact us form? Bob, I don't think so. I would just have one contact form, and you can potentially make it a little harder for them to do it. For example, Bob, you could make more required fields. So you could actually say like, you know what? I may do this. And say like, are you asking for a guest post? And if they say yes, then I'll just automatically put it in the trash. That's probably what I'm going to do. And Fat Loss Planner says, I provide tons of value. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, and sometimes I feel like, thanks everyone. I wasn't fishing for it specifically, but it is helpful every now and then because sometimes I do show up for these, and I find that some of the more vocal people, not always, but some of the more vocal people seem to be kind of rude to me. And at times it just wears me down depending on how much sleep I got the previous night, which is an interesting observation. But the point is, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's helpful or not. And, if I spend 2 hours doing this, and let's say, there's some formula to figure out like how much your time is worth. But let's say, for example, there's two ways we could figure it out. So number one, it could be, for my consulting, right? If you want one-on-one consulting, by the way, if you need someone to like look at your site, and by the way, some people on the chat are like students, they have got consulting. If you have got consulting from me, then you can, ask around. If you want to get consulting, you could ask around, see if it's worthwhile. But like if I can go audit your site, a lot of times I'll be able to tell you like exactly what to do. But the point is, I charge like $247 for an hour of consulting. So if you were to assume that I could be doing something and make $500 instead of, which is not a direct application, right? It's not like I had two consultations I was going to do. But if you assume, right? If you assume that I could do something that's highly leveraged, like write content that could eventually bring in many, many customers, me answering the questions for 2 hours maybe isn't the best use of my time, but I feel like it brings a good community together. And a lot of people that are asking questions back and forth. Like I don't even like have to answer as much. All right. Okay. So a couple more people, and by the way, I wasn't necessarily asking for people to cheer, but I'll take it. Right. So hi says, tremendous help. Graham says, no, I don't think you're rude, Graham. You're one of the good ones. And Cryomaniac says, is this about business? It is mainly affiliate marketing. So welcome. Mainly affiliate marketing and project management. And we sign up in all country Amazon associate account for commissions. The answer is you could, but I would say just focus on where you're getting most of your traffic from. And Pete says, there will always be people that feel like they're entitled to more free instruction, but there are a lot of us quietly watching and appreciate it. Pete, and I think you're 100% right. There's a nice guy who's pretty active in a couple live sessions a few weeks back, a guy named Brian. Really nice guy, and wrote a couple like cool emails, but he was like, yeah, there's several advanced people who have been doing this stuff for a while, and they watch him, but they're more lurkers and stuff, which is kind of my style, to be honest. I'm not very active. So anyway, Marcel, have a good weekend. And all right. Thanks everyone for all the nice compliments. I do appreciate it. Warrior says, one last question. Will I expand the same website to a broader niche or make multiple websites targeting sub niches? Generally, I'm focusing on fewer sites and growing those just because I think like the activity is more leveraged. So if you publish like 10 articles on a brand new site versus 10 articles on an existing site, or let's say you put that content on existing content, that like a post that's already published that's like doing well, like that's probably a better way to leverage your effort. Michael's on. What's up? Good to have you on. Another fine student. The Warrior says, is it safe to have a website target a certain niche at first and later expand to other niches? Sure. Make sure your branding is kind of broad. Emmanuel says, you just want to know how much my income comes from YouTube ads. Zero. I don't run ads. I make no money from YouTube. This is like free and I don't run ads. Do people notice that? Like, do you realize that I don't run ads on here at all? And do you care? Okay. Next, Bob says this would be a big project. Could I go over setting up X theme? Answer is no. I don't use X theme and I have low interest in doing more like theme stuff. But Jaron says that he uses it. So interesting. Okay. And then Raj says if we associate it in the UK account, but the buyer is for India, then we get a commission. Only if you have an India account as well. John is out of here. See you later. So yeah, Raj, you have to have an account, but just focus on where you're getting most of your traffic from. I like when I first got started, I watched a couple ads for someone selling a product and they were like, hey, they were like, hey, all you have to do is like apply for these other associate programs and then you'll make lots more money. And I wasn't getting much traffic, but I didn't realize that it was getting much traffic. So I like did all the work to do that. And I basically like got no money from it. And Graham says, you think I should run ads unless I'm converting a good number of people to the course? I spend so much time helping people for free. A couple ads won't hurt. I may, you know what? It could be a test where I just turn it on for a week and see. I think I actually don't get enough views for it to like be worthwhile, but maybe it is something. The thing is like the ads pay such a small amount that I don't think it's worth it. But I could be totally wrong. Like maybe because it's internet marketing related, maybe it's better. Like a better payout, that is. And there are a lot of videos, but I guess how many people have YouTube Red? I have been on YouTube Red for a couple months. It's awesome. And by the way, has anyone else watched Cobra Kai? I mean, it's amazing. We have 2 episodes left and we just started watching it like last week. It's just amazing. If you haven't watched The Karate Kid, you have to where have you been? But then you have to watch that. And I mean, like I was like born in 79 and basically, you know, this movie came out in a time where like we were watching it like constantly. We had it on VHS. So we watched it. My sisters and I watched it all the time. And the thing is, man, this Cobra Kai miniseries, I know there's a delay, but people, let me know if you're watching Cobra Kai. It's freaking amazing. I think it's better than the movies. It's so good. It's so good. All right. And Pete says Cobra Kai is surprisingly well made. Yes, about the same age as me, and And let's see. And Sean is saying, have I thought about doing an incentive for the first few people to watch the video? Surely YouTube will see that when you post and you get a surge in watchers that your content's good. I thought about doing a couple things with like, trying to get more people to comment where I like ask a question. But yeah, it's hard. It's cool to test stuff. But what I have seen, because I'm not running ads, like more views, like I need it to like help build the platform and stuff like that. So that's all good. And I think, I go on kicks where I watch like Gary V. Do people watch Gary V much? So I go on kicks where I watch Gary V. I have like one or two. I have one of his books, Thank You Economy. His it's a weird mix of like just like so much aggressive like talk and yelling at you, and then there's like some nuggets of wisdom. And I think there is, like John was mentioning before, karma and stuff like that. And I'm like, if I'm giving away so much free stuff here, and the course is good, I want to sell the course, right? But if I'm giving away so much free good stuff, it sort of like commoditizes the information that other people are trying to sell. I do believe, and many people have told me, the stuff that I'm providing here for free, like these are basically like office hour sessions. Now I can't go as in depth as I would in the 5-figure niche site inner circle sessions, of course, but these are very good. And the videos I do are very good too, where if you put them in the right order and you knew what to do, like you could do what Jaron has done, and going from basically just learning about affiliate marketing to potentially hitting like 3K in whatever 8 months or something like that. But the thing is, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, the point is, I was talking about Gary Vee. Building the platform is very interesting. And the other part that's super interesting, I'm like, my content, I've been told, I think like it's advanced, right? I'm doing advanced stuff. But a lot of it's free, right? I'm doing tons of videos, and if you watch it in the right order, basically, you could learn whatever you needed to learn, right? But it's interesting that perhaps it's, maybe there's a lot of factors, right? Maybe I'm a little boring. Maybe people don't find me engaging. It has to be the right kind of people. But I'm like, my channel is growing a little bit, and the more work I do, the better it's growing. But when I check out like some other channels and see how fast they're growing, and I'm like, that's insane. I don't know how or why, unless they're running, ads. They're running like pre-roll ads, perhaps. But bringing it back to Gary Vee, I'm like, oh, if I'm giving away so much stuff, it'll probably come around, most likely. Green Engineer says, some of my KGR articles are keyword stuff. If I edit them, will it work? Yes. Sean says, prioritize your videos and live streams. Oh, elaborate on that. Very interested in hearing what you mean. Warrior says, oh yeah, there was some conversation about, oh yeah, Graham was like, run ads. You know what? And maybe I'll turn them on for a couple weeks and see what happens. Most other channels are running ads, like even if they don't have like many visitors, as soon as people can run ads, they usually are running ads. So maybe I check to see, what happens. I do have to pay rent. That is 100% true. And the Warrior says, you don't think I have to worry about it? If I could save, we're big savers. So if I could save more money, like that's probably what I'm going to do. We're very conservative fiscally. Oh yeah, and Warrior saying you're tired of scammy webinars. That's funny. See, the thing is, when I do the webinars, I usually don't even pitch. I usually only sell in my email sequence, essentially. All right, and Jaron says 6. I think that means 6 months, because you were finishing my sentence there. Oh, and by the way, if you're just joining up, I see a handful of people just joined. Hit the thumbs up. We're running a quick, we're seeing if this works. Although a lot of people are going away now. So 40 people. Formulaic is on. All right. Herminth says, what should the anchor text ratio be if you build backlinks for top 10 best posts? However many it needs to be. So there are many. Actually, I'm going to answer like 3 questions at once. How long should the content be? What should the keyword density be? How many backlinks do I need? What's the anchor text ratio and distribution? All those things I cannot answer with a specific answer, but you could look it up yourself. So take a look at the competition in each of the cases, see what they are doing. I recommend, check out the top 10, look at, 3 to 5 niche sites that are out there or similar sites to whatever you're trying to rank, and compile the data, aim for the average. That is the answer to all those questions. So no one can answer that. You just have to look it up because it varies per piece of content, per keyword, per site, whatever. Warrior says, do I know my Myers-Briggs personality type? And you're guessing I'm an INFP. I can't remember, but for the people that are just joining up, I mentioned it earlier. There's like a 99% chance my wife and I are starting a podcast. It's going to be about, we need to refine this, but the audience is generally going to be like corporate people who don't like their jobs. Like that's sort of the idea. And then we're going to talk about like having a corporate type job. Both of us did like consulting and full-time traveling for a little while and then working remotely. And now I work for myself. We both got laid off. So it's generally going to be about that. But one of the topic ideas was to do our Myers-Briggs. I don't think I have my data from like my results from when I took it when I first started working after college, but I did take one at the consulting company I was at, and I'm interested to take it again because I think it would be different. James says, you prefer me and my style over the top guys. It seems like everyone else is always yelling and talking with a weird sense of urgency. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. And they make it sound so easy and fast. And everything is hard and it takes a long time. So, all right. Next, we see, appreciate the comment, compliment James. Formulaic says, did Project Go White Hat use KGRs or was it mostly another SEO tactic? It was multiple things. Yeah, we did put KGR terms in there. By the way, if people aren't familiar with Project Go White Hat, Google it. I did like a 12-part blog series, one of my most popular. I need to get that. I need to get that like out into the open again because it was very interesting. So yeah, check that out. Formulaic. I go over the whole thing, exactly what we did. The result was we sold the site for 235,000, which I used to mention all the time, but then it's been like 10 months or something. But it's an interesting story, so I should talk about it all the time. All right, Carl says, did anyone experience a big drop in Google rankings last week? The answer is yes, a lot of people did. There was an algorithm update, Carl, and it's unclear what it was. Okay. And 16personalities.com for the quick test. Oh, cool. Cool. And you're saying losing train of thought and being authentic throughout is pretty much an INFP thing, or at least INF. And to be honest with you, I usually don't lose my train of thought. However, what is happening, if you saw my screen, actually, it may be just interesting. Oh, by the way, thanks everyone who hit the thumbs up. We're over 50 right now. We're at 52, which is super cool. But Warrior, here's an interesting thing. So I usually don't lose my train of thought. However, I have an active chat going, and then I have my own video stream that I can see. And then I have all the questions that were over here. Maybe I'm making excuses, but typically I don't lose my train of thought, I would say. However, this is a highly stimulating environment. So, you know, and I didn't sleep that well last night. So I think that maybe has something to do with it. But the point is, if you're interested, if you have questions or topics that you want us to cover in a podcast, let me know. You can actually use the form and just say like, hey, here's a podcast idea. We haven't set up the form or our website just yet. But yeah, we've been brainstorming a lot. We actually recorded 2 episodes just to see how the process would go. And it was fine. We were, a little more boring than we thought. And then we revealed too much and we're like, we need to pull it back just a tad for various reasons. But it was pretty fun to, just record it and, pretend like we have a podcast, which we will soon. Okay. Next, Hydra says, do I mind explaining how to not keyword cannibalize your homepage and service page? For example, your website is SEO services, and then you have an SEO services page. You want to rank the homepage. So basically, I don't have a clean answer. I do have a video on keyword cannibalization. So if you go to my channel, by the way, if people are, if you're watching, if you have a question at some point and you're like, oh, I should ask Doug this, there is I would say like a 90% chance that not only have I already answered the question, but there's probably a video on it. There are over 500 videos on this channel, which is a crazy amount considering how few subscribers I had. I was taking a look at like a Deadbeat Super Affiliate the other day. I think he only has he has a lot of videos, a couple hundred. He's been doing this a long time. Super talented guy. I don't know him personally, but from a marketing perspective and a YouTube personality, he's crushing it. He must be making a ton of money from the, courses he's selling, of which I'm not sure if the tactics hold up to the 2018 standards that we're dealing with these days. I don't think so, to be honest with you. But the point is, there's a video, Hydra, just say keyword cannibalization on my channel. Watch that. And the key would be, it's very hard to prevent it, right? You can't force Google to rank one over the other. All right. It's very hard to predict ahead of time. But what you can do is after something happens, you can make adjustments then and then try to favor one of like whatever post that you're dealing with. Try and, make sure you have a good anchor text ratio going to it, proper anchor text ratio for the term, apply the thing I just said, and internal linking to help guide Google. Thanks, people, for hitting the thumbs up. Shamie says, is there a beginner's guide to start niche sites? So yes, I am working on improving this content and updating it. But if you go to nichesiteproject.com, get over to the blog section, there's a start here page, and it is very long. It tells you most of what you need to know. If you sign up for the email list, you'll have access to a few like PDFs and more tasks, stuff like that. But it's taking quite a long time, but I'm currently like rewriting the start here page and breaking it out into smaller sections. So there's like a keyword research section and then a bunch of resources for it. And then there's going to be like a content section and a bunch of resources for that. And the point is, if you go to nichesiteproject.com, you'll be able to go through a lot of that. All right. So, Shami, I hope that helps. The Warrior says, should the homepage have specific content or is it fine to have excerpts for other posts on it? Yeah, either one is fine. I would say as long as you don't have like affiliate content, that's fine. Whatever you want to do after that. Hydra says, you watched my webinar video about it and it was unclear because you seem to focus on niche sites, but it's the same concept, but wanted my thoughts. Yeah, just apply the concept. It doesn't matter if it's niche sites, to my knowledge. To be fair, I haven't had the issue. I have had services pages and or sites or product pages, and I didn't have that issue. So, I mean, potentially the problem that you're having is like you have a lot of links going to a certain page or the other. And I mean, the way to solve the problem is to do a redirect. So you can do that. Okay. Next, we have a question from the Warrior. How do you approach keywords like best slippers under 200, best slippers under 150, blah, blah, blah? Will it have a conflict ranking best slippers? Me personally, I would publish all of the ones that apply and then see what happens. And then 4 months later, take a look. What's ranking for what? Consolidate whatever needs to be consolidated and then go from there. So I usually take a look at the results versus trying to guess what the right thing is to do. I just do something and then I adjust afterwards. Basically, whatever you're doing when you're approaching those sort of like, should I publish this article or that one? It doesn't matter. And if you try and guess, you're probably going to be wrong. So you may as well just do anything and then you adjust afterwards because it's reversible. Whatever decision you make, it's reversible. So you could fix it later. Graham says, how is spring in Montana? So it has been warmer. Like it's been really nice for the last several days. And then yesterday we had some cooler weather come in. So it rained a little bit. It was a little rainy this morning. So it's gray out there today. But in the last couple of days, it was beautiful. In fact, yesterday I published like a really short video and it's only like 2 minutes long. But if you check it out, you'll see like blue skies, like nice like clouds, green grass. Like it's really gotten nicer here now. Next, we have Osama. What do I think about buying backlinks from Link Management or White Hat Buzz? I don't know either of those companies, but I would say I wouldn't do it. Joe says, you made it to a live Q&A. Awesome. Good to have you, Joe. And my quiet whining about hitting the like button, it looks like it's helping. Thank you, everyone. We're approaching 60 likes and it'll be interesting. In fact, I'll share the data and I'll say, hey, it worked out. I'm actually going to be out next Friday, but I may do a couple live streams earlier in the week and maybe like different times of day too. So maybe I'm just making this up. I'll schedule it. So be sure to hit like the notification. Like how many people have notifications turned on? Like I did that for a couple channels, like my friends basically. So I actually get a notification for everything, it seems like. However, I turned the notifications off on my YouTube app because like my phone was just like popping up all the time, like people published a new video, and when I didn't actually care, I didn't care they were doing it. And the point is I may do, you're right, maybe I lose my train of thought all the time, huh? So I do potentially a live stream on like Tuesday in the afternoon and maybe like Wednesday in the morning to still do 2 live streams. And I'm actually going to be out of town for a couple weeks. I think for people that don't know my story, I got laid off in the summer of 2015 and I have taken some trips, but I've basically worked like through all the trips that I've taken. The longest trip that I have been on since then, it was maybe like 2 weeks, but it was I was visiting family back in Atlanta. This is like an actual pure vacation. And I haven't taken a vacation in probably like 3 years or so, like 2 years and 10 months or something like that. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm not gonna be doing as much stuff. There still will be like some stuff being published on YouTube. And I may actually do some live streams. I may do a couple live streams where they're just sort of like me doing something interesting. And I thought about, trying to pull some people over to like Instagram or something. But if you care, I mean, there's a handful of people, and if you care, I'm just Doug Cunnington on Instagram. It's just a bunch of beer, beer pictures. But occasionally, I put some other stuff on there. But in general, I'm not going to be doing these live streams like this, not this long, but I may do like a live stream when I'm just like chilling in Portland or Newport. We're actually going to Newport in Oregon, and then we're going to head up to Portland. Okay. Jaron says, you would do a massive post, essentially best slippers within, and in it, you would have sections, best slippers under X. You have a good chance for taking all the keywords without the cannibalization risk. Yes. So that is, you have two main choices. Jaron mentions one. I mentioned the other, where you publish everything separately. When I've done the KGR stuff across the board, I always did it separately because then I was able to combine it if needed. But if you are not ranking, Jaron, and you are like, oh, I'm not ranking, should I separate it out? In my head, like just the separate post made more sense, because then if they rank, it worked. But if they didn't, then you could combine it and maybe something will happen. But it's a half dozen of one. Warrior says, thanks. I just helped you understand simple concepts. Awesome. And the next cool thing says, my YouTube channel with ads could easily get $100 per month, and it's passive. Interesting. That could be beer money, or to be honest with you, I have been drinking a lot of beer. It was beer week here recently, and I haven't shared this video, but I participated in a couple of cool events. One was the Beer Olympics, one was the Beer Mile. It was a relay team, but the Beer Mile was crazy. I don't think I couldn't imagine doing it by myself. You have to drink 4 12-ounce beers and then run a mile, right? So you drink one beer, you run a quarter mile. And I just had to do one of those. So it was very interesting. But by turning on, I drink liquor as well. And I got this nice bottle of, I like scotch, not the peaty kind. I also like bourbon, generally, most kind of whiskeys that are out there, but really like, I developed like a flavor for the nicer stuff. So I got this Macallan 12 that was in like 2 different casks. So I haven't had that before. I've had the Macallan 12 a few other times, but okay. All right, I'll get back to the topic here. Warrior says 60 likes means you can expect an audience of 500 to 800. Like every like improves the reach among non-subscribers. Very interesting, because there was a stretch where this is helpful, and I have it. Where's your data from, by the way? What's your reference to that? There was a stretch where I think I had like up to 70 or 90 people live. And that was a period where I was doing like more live streams, and I think you're right. I think more notifications were going out to casual watchers, and I've tapered down a little bit. And I'm unsure how much like the likes versus the comments versus the whatever come into play. And I probably should make that call to action like really like early in the video, because obviously not everyone's going to watch for an hour and 36 minutes. Okay. JS says I should vacation in Hawaii. Yeah, you know what? I haven't been in a long, I went one time. And man, the volcano stuff is crazy over there. What island are you on, JS? Okay. John says you've been rejected to the Amazon API twice. The reason is they say there's not unique content and too much advertisement on the site. None of this is true. Any suggestions to get improved? So let me ask you this, John. I have a theory. Did you build your site with a WooCommerce plugin or however that works, and you just have like a bunch of products? If so, I'm like 90% sure that is why. Basically 100% of the people that go through my course, John, you're not in the course, and that's why I'm mentioning this. 100% of the people that go through my course are approved for Amazon. In fact, I've had a couple people that were rejected, and I took a look at their site, made some recommendations, and then they applied and they were approved. So my guess is you may have the WooCommerce plugin and you just have a bunch of garbage on your site. No offense. But that's kind of like, you know, that's like the allure of having that WooCommerce plugin, and it's not really necessary. Oh, and thanks, Joe. Everyone does need some time for themselves. Yeah, and you know, when you start working on your own business, like you kind of go crazy with it. Um, oh, Vance is on. What's up? You're taking a break from work to say hello. Thanks again for the thoughtful help. Yeah, I emailed Vance earlier today, and he's a student, so thanks. Graham says, any tips for working on affiliate marketing while hungover? Coffee helps a lot, and yeah, just coffee. That's all like, and maybe walking outside a little bit. I think that helped a bit, but definitely a little slower today and just catching up on some emails. All right. And Joe says single barrel Jack is a very good whiskey. Nice. I think I've had that before. The Warrior says you look on some forums where people coming up with these tests and you do test on different channels and videos yourself. Very cool. Okay. And I'll keep an eye on it. And I mean, when I look, and I guess you would have access to my like the general data as well, where you can see like how many views a video has and the number of likes and sort of the correlation. But I think that could be very interesting. Oh yeah, and if people do want to follow my Instagram, you will see many different beers, some interesting ones if you actually know beers well. A lot of different Belgian beers if you go to the stream, but just Doug Cunnington on Instagram. And I'm gonna look at the old the submission area. It looks like a couple more questions did come in. Thanks, folks, for using the submission form. It does make it a little bit easier. And Trevor says, you really appreciate that I share the knowledge. You've learned a ton. Keep it up. Thank you, Trevor. I'm not sure if you were on earlier when potentially it sounded like I was whining, and a lot of people reassured me, which I guess I needed it, that they find these helpful, and they don't they're asking smart questions. So thanks everyone for asking smart questions. All right. Next, Emmanuel says, how about WooZone? Will that get you rejected? Don't know. I don't use Woo anything. Woo anything is not necessary. If you need help with that stuff, my good friend Alex, WP Eagle, can help you more with that. Just generally, WooZone won't get you rejected. However, my thought is it's a little overkill depending on what you're trying to do and not at all necessary, but it's not an issue. And quick update, the follow-up, you are not, John says you're not using the WooCommerce plugin. It has 20 information articles and 6 product reviews, all uniquely written. I have no idea. You can potentially ask, like, you could ask them to see if they can give you any advice. You could potentially, like, unpublish your product reviews to see if that helps. But there must be something that's making them think there's too much like affiliate content or something like that. And JS is on Oahu. The volcano activity is on the Big Island. It's fascinating. Yeah, it's crazy. And like when we stayed in Kona, we didn't make it on the Hilo side, so we stayed in Kona for a little while and then stayed in on Oahu for a few days as well. But yeah, like I really like the Big Island. In fact, there was like no volcanic activity at all. And this was like 2011 when I was there. Not that we wanted to see anything crazy like what's going on now, but it could have been interesting to see like a little, a little lava flow or something like that. But yeah, really enjoyed Hawaii a lot. All right, Bant says in some long form content, you're seeing pages that have multiple short stories using all H1 for the headline. Does Google see that as long content for the top story or not? I don't know. When like H1s for that should be like the title in WordPress. So that's like the title of the post. You shouldn't have any other H1s. And I wouldn't worry specifically. I'm not really sure what you're asking. You're seeing some pages have multiple short stories. There's yeah, I'm not really sure. Ravi, what's up? I think I owe you an email. Ravi, I think we'll be able to potentially get you in the course if it matches up with your goals. Warrior says this particular video has a 100% like ratio and Social Blade. I can expect some nice audience next time for sure. We shall see. And Hydra, you wrote a guide on how to be successful on YouTube, the rankings factors, and was what you started off doing with YouTube gaming. Huh. Yeah, sure. You could send it to me. Jeff says, is there any advantage in adding YouTube videos along with the 1,200 word post to increase rankings? You see some YouTube videos rank high, and you wonder if it will help give you advantage in whatever keyword you choose. Yes. In fact, Jeff, if you're just starting, or if you are in the most recent enrollment period, you haven't gotten to Unit 4 yet. And in Unit 4, I do say, make sure you're putting in like images and YouTube videos. In fact, a student that I met with yesterday said that I've audited his site and I was like, you need to get images and you need to put YouTube videos. And he said his rankings went up like the next couple days after he did that. Like it was a specific thing that helped. And Jeff, you should make sure that your images have, a file name with keyword rich text, the alt tag, and the caption as well. Depeche says, is Amazon affiliate the only website going to be penalized tomorrow, if not today? No. And I'm not sure what reference you're talking about as far as penalties today and tomorrow. I think maybe you're metaphorically speaking. Can it be a long-term project? The answer is yes. Depeche also says, I write reviews and 10 best type articles on your site, and you're scared that you'll be penalized by Google. You want your insights. So if you are writing good content that is helpful, you should be okay. However, I think there was in the last 3 weeks or so, there was an algorithm update, which looks like some good sites were actually hit, and it is unclear what the issue is. People aren't sure. And let's see, what else do we have here in the questions? Warrior, John asking, just want to come back. I would probably take out like all your affiliate content and give it a try. All right. And Joe says a few things you had to get fixed to get approved by Amazon. Don't mention the price. Make sure you have affiliate disclaimer on each page. Don't trick the user with links. Yeah. Yep. Those are all, I mean, pretty straightforward stuff. But yeah, there are things like quote, um, you can't quote the reviews, right? If users reviewed it, you can't quote those directly. All right. What other questions do we have? Otherwise, we could finish up. Thanks everyone for hopping on. And it looks like we have one thumbs down. You know, it's kind of funny. I think there's one or two people that they just go and they dislike my videos. So across the board, they watch every single one of them though, which is kind of funny. So there's like basically almost 99% of my videos have one or two dislikes. So I'm pretty sure it's like one person that's doing it. It's pretty funny. But they watch them all. I mean, I guess maybe they're going quickly, unliking or disliking the video and then bouncing. So I guess it's like bad for watch time and stuff, but they take a look at it. So pretty funny. I welcome it. All right. Yeah. Any other questions out there? And by the way, a couple of the things that I mentioned before. So no Friday for next week, no live Q&A, but I will potentially do one on like Tuesday and Wednesday, perhaps one just a random Q&A, one a topic of my choice so that I can just talk. Those nearly always degrade to just people just asking questions. That's just what happens. So maybe I'll do the random Q&A on like Tuesday and then do the one with a topic on Wednesday, just so there's a little bit more going on. And the other thing is, if you have thoughts about topics that you want covered in like a podcast from me and my wife, let me know. And in fact, I could tell you some of the topics that we came up with. Oh, I don't have the sheet up handy, so maybe I won't be able to talk about it as in depth. But I do have a couple off the top of my head, just talking about like going to meetings, traveling, and stuff like that, right? So just traveling for work and living out of a suitcase where you fly out on Monday morning, you come back on Thursday evening or Friday, getting promoted, right? Talking about getting promoted, the corporate politics of like, having a boss who maybe doesn't know what they're doing. Working on like new projects and like the first day on a new project, how to get off of projects. And this would maybe apply more for consulting folks, but I know I somehow talked my way off of several projects, and some of them actually got me like negative reviews, and I had to like do some damage control and rebuilding afterwards, that sort of thing. Okay. Bob, good to have you on. Thanks, folks, for helping me moderate. Jay says, if you are an Amazon affiliate for one site, do you have to get approved for each site? No, you can just add your other sites on there. Graham, thanks for hopping on. Warrior says, do I have a Facebook page or group for niche pursuits? This is not niche pursuits. This is niche site project. But if I have a Facebook group, but I hate Facebook. So I basically don't do anything with it. Yeah. So there's a Facebook group, but I don't spend any time on it. And generally, like, I'll share some stuff in there occasionally, but there isn't a very active community, I would say. And it's not a priority for me. I just personally don't like Facebook. So, but you could join up. There are some conversations. It's probably like 50% spam that gets marked, and then 50% someone asking a genuine question and people helping. If you want to check it out, you can check it out. It's like niche. It's like the niche framework affiliate marketing, something. I don't remember. Timo, what's up? Emmanuel says, do I recommend any affiliate marketing podcast or YouTubers? I like Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. And then as far as like other podcasts, I really don't listen to affiliate marketing podcasts anymore. I kind of got bored with it. Same with YouTubers, other than if you go to my channel and just see like other people that I've interviewed. So Income School, those guys are cool. Um, Alex Cooper over WP Eagle, another YouTuber. He and I have a big keyword golden ratio, really master class coming out in just a couple weeks. He and I are both working on it. And some of the other stuff I have to finish today. So excellent, excellent. Okay. Any other questions before we get out of here? We almost used up the whole 2 hours here. All right. It looks like we made it to the end. Congratulations, everyone. Have a great weekend, and be sure to look for the probably scheduled videos that I'll be doing earlier next week. There won't be a Friday Q&A. There'll be one on like Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. Okay. Have a good one. Catch you later.